and he is better than you, more superior to you. So then Allah says that no, in fact Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, and we've done this before as well, that kind Muslim, he was Muslim in the sense that he submitted himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And another word Allah uses often throughout the Quran for Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is Hanif. And Hanif means somebody who had abandoned all other false deities and other shuraka, and had focused his attention solely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we say, even when we begin Salah, we recite all other false deities, Allah then speaks about the choice between the hereafter and the dunya. Allah says, "Man kana yuridu harth al-akhirati nazid lahu fi harthihi." He who wishes the harvest of the hereafter, then we should increase for him in his harvest. And he who wishes the harvest of the dunya, we shall give him from it, but then he will have no share in the hereafter. If we truly understand that the dunya is only a station to pass by, then will we give that importance to the hereafter, and then treat this dunya as just a simple station to pass by. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says in hadith, "Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharibun wa abirun sabil." Live in this world as if though you are a stranger or a traveller. And Allah also speaks about some of the practices of the Meccans, of how they would frown on somebody who has a female child born to them. But then at the same time, these same Meccans would say that these angels are female. So that Allah says that you don't want female girls for yourselves, but then you're saying that these angels of Allah are females. Allah refutes that. We then recite Surah Al-Zukhruf, again, Meccan Surah. Allah speaks about some of the prophets of the past. And again, some of the other claims, similarly, I mentioned about the Meccans and some of their practices. Allah speaks about Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam in the surah. And some of the prophets are mentioned, Sayyidina Musa is mentioned, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. We then recite Surah Al-Dukhan meaning the smoke. The Meccan Surah, Allah begins by saying, Hamim al-Kitab al-Mubin, by the clear book. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakatin inna kunna munzirin. Indeed, we have revealed this, meaning the Quran, in a blessed night. Indeed, we are the warners. This refers to the revelation of the Quran being revealed in a blessed night. And the ulama pretty much more or less agree that this refers to Laylatul Qadr, the night of power. Here, this reference is made in Surah Al-Qadr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarifies it more. So here Allah just says Laylatul Mubarak, meaning in a blessed night. And in the other surah, Surah Al-Qadr, Allah says Fi Laylatul Qadr. So it clarifies which blessed night this is. And the virtues of Laylatul Qadr aren't only mentioned in the Ahadith, but even in the Quran very clearly, explicitly. Once the Sahaba was sitting with Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he was telling them about a man from the past who lived for 500 years, and he lived a life totally devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So throughout the day he would fast and he would spend the night in prayer. So the Sahaba said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we can never do this. First of all, we don't live that long, and so how can we match up to this? So then the verses of Surah Al-Qadr were revealed, where Allah says, Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alf shahr. The night of power, Laylatul Qadr, is far better than 1,000 months. And if we look at, so we're actually in that period, within the last 10 nights of Ramadan, and from the ahadith we learn that Laylatul Qadr, even though we complete the Quran on the 27th night, and there are ahadith that would suggest that there is a possibility of Laylatul Qadr taking place on the 27th night, but there are a large variety of ahadith that suggest that it could be any one of the odd nights of the final 10 days of Ramadan. And the whole purpose of i'tikaf is to sit and to look for that night in the hope that one's ibadah coincides with Laylatul Qadr. And if we look at why, the reason why Laylatul Qadr is so important, if we look at the hadith, a man who lived 500 years, and what kind of life? During the day he would fast, and during the night he would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, in the hope and anticipation of that kind of reward, they made the request, and then Allah revealed the verses of Surah Al-Qadr. So imagine those Sahaba radiallahu anhum, if they were to see us today, that Allah made it so easy for us. They just say 10 nights. Just 10 nights, and not even the whole 10 nights. Right? Just do the odd nights. Do the odd nights. For those 10 nights, you'll get Laylatul Qadr. How much anticipation and hope the Sahaba had then, that we want to be like that man who did those 500 years. And according to a different hadith that suggests other instances, and again, there's the story of Shamun, and how his ibadah, and how when the Prophet ﷺ related his ibadah to the Sahaba, they were hopeful that they could have something that could match him, and then Allah gave Laylatul Qadr. So the concept of Laylatul Qadr, it falls and it's related to this kind of ibadah, that we want to get to the likes of somebody who's worshipping Allah subhanahu for 500 years. So it's a big thing, it's not any small thing, it's not to be taken lightly. And even then, from the hadith we learn how simple Allah makes it. As a minimum, perform Isha Salah wal Jama'ah, Fajr Salah wal Jama'ah, with hope that you will receive the reward of that whole night of ibadah. And this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're coming into the end of Ramadan. Allah does so much for us. He wants so many, He wants to forgive us. He wants to reward us. And He's laid out all of the opportunities for us. And it's just for us now to pluck them, pick them up, and take them one by one. We've the amazing story of one I mentioned before about a man who killed 99 people. And he went and asked the people that, look, I've killed 99 people. Is there any forgiveness for me? So they said, look, ask this man. He looks like a worshipping man. He was an abid, a worshipping man, practicing man. Well, ask him. So he went and asked him. He said, look, I've killed 99 people. Is there any hope for any reward for me? Any forgiveness for me? So he said, no. Kill 99 people. Can't get away with that. So he killed him. He made it 100. Now, we hear the story, and it's unrelatable, because you and I don't know anybody who was killed. Well, I hope we don't know anybody who's killed 100 people. I hope we don't know anybody who's killed one person, actually. But it's unrelatable. And in this day and age, you would relate them to some of the serial mass murderers that we hear about on the news. So, and that's the kind of person he was. In fact, he must have been so bad that he killed a practicing guy. Because remember, they asked him that, he said, he went to ask a practicing person, an abid. So the person he went to ask that, is there any worship, any forgiveness from me? Who said no. He wasn't any old guy, he was a practicing person. That's why he asked him. He looks like a good person, practicing, maybe he'll know. And he asked him, and he didn't give him the right answer, so he killed him as well. You just imagine how bad this guy must have been. And then he was still thinking that, maybe there's some hope. So they said to him, go and ask fulan this alim. So then he went and asked an alim, and the alim said, of course. Who can come in between you and tawbah? Who can come in between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So he says, you've got to let go of what you're doing. But here where you live now, this place isn't helpful. So you've got to leave here and go to a certain other city, and there the people are good, you'll be within a good environment, the influences will be good, and then this would be helpful for you and help you stay away from this sin. So he thought, well, you know what, this is my tawbah, if this is what I've got to do, I've got to do this. He left everything and began walking. On the way to that city, he dies halfway. When he dies halfway, the angels of punishment come, because they've been waiting to take this guy. This guy's killed 100 people. And at the same time, the angels of mercy come. The angels of punishment say that, look, he killed 100 people. He's coming with us. The angels of mercy says, yes, but he did tawbah. He asked Allah for forgiveness. So then they begin arguing, and then Allah sends an angel that you go and be a judge between them. So this angel comes, and both of them put their case. The angels of punishment say that he should be punished because he should go to Jahannam because he had killed this many people. And the angels of mercy said, but here sought Allah's forgiveness. And he was on his way to a city where he could get away from all of this. So the angels said, look, okay, that's fine. What we'll do is we'll measure the distance of land between where he left from and to where he's going. So where he left from was the evil land, and where he's going was the land of good people. Measure the distance. Whichever one he's closer to, his judgment will be on that. So if he's closer to the land of evil, that means he's closer to the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if he's closer to the land of good, then he should be forgiven. When they measured, they found him one span closer to the land of evil. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in his infinite mercy, he moved the land. Allah moved space just to forgive him. And who was he? Somebody who killed 100 people. This is what Allah does. He wants to forgive us. He gives us Laylatul Qadr. Before he gave us Laylatul Qadr, he gave us Ramadan. He gave us Ramadan. In Ramadan, even before Ramadan, he gave us, for every one deed, he gave us 10 angels. So when we commit one good deed, Allah gives us 10 rewards. When we commit one evil, Allah gives us one sin. So he already gave us 10. And then he thought, okay, you don't need more. I'll give you Ramadan. And then instead of one, and even though we learn from the ahadith, and we learn that it's 70 rewards for each good deed, we learn that it's not just 70, it's 70 and many more. That's what the ahadith say. So he gives us Ramadan, and then Ramadan, it says Ramadan, look, I'll give you this extra, this night of prayer. You do one night of worship, give you 1,000 nights. So Allah looks for opportunities, but we've just got to pick them. So the Quran was revealed on this blessed night, and again, in this night, and in the month of Ramadan in general, especially throughout the last 10 nights of Ramadan, connect and attach yourselves with the Quran. You know, the Prophet ﷺ, if you look at his practice, before the month of Ramadan, he was preparing for Ramadan. So in Sha'ban, he would fast more than he used to normally, and he would increase. And then coming into Ramadan, even when they used to come into Ramadan, they used to pick up slowly. So we're opposite. The first night, everyone's in the masjid full, and then complete dip, and then back again up near the end, and then the 30th night, a big dip again, because we're getting ready for Eid. But with the Sahaba, they graduate, even in Ramadan as well, at the beginning they started off. And when we learn that the Prophet did for the whole of Ramadan, he used to devote himself. But even within Ramadan, that devotion increased throughout the month of Ramadan. Because remember, our souls and our nafs and our bodies aren't used to that kind of exertion. And for them to be able to handle that kind of exertion, because remember, even this exertion of ibadah, this effort behind ibadah, it has a toll on a person's physical self. and spiritually, and many other ways. So that's why he used to slowly take it, and then by the end, coming to the last part of Ramadan, the last 10 nights, that's when he totally devoted himself in the Masjid of Allah, and nothing else, just ibadah in the Masjid. So that's what i'tikaf was, and that's what the practice should be, and that's the idea. The idea was to do it in this manner. Anyway, in Surah Al-Dukhan is again Makkan Surah. Now that's what the word Dukhan, and Allah says it here, فَرْقَةٍ بِيَوْمَ النَّاسِ يَوْمَ تَأْتِي السَّمَاءُ بِدُخَانٍ مُبِينٍ يَغْشَى النَّاسَ. That wait for the day in which the sky will bring forth an open smoke, which will envelop the people, and this is a great punishment. And then they will call out, رَبَّنَا اكْشِفْ عَنَّا الْعَذَابَ إِنَّا مُؤْمِنُونَ. Oh, our Lord, remove from us this punishment, indeed we are believers. Most of the ulama say that this smoke that's referred to in Surah Al-Dukhan is the smoke that will emerge prior to the Day of Judgment. And it's one of the signs of the Day of Judgment. We've spoken about some of the different signs of the Day of Judgment. We've spoken about the Dajjal, we've spoken about Ya'juj and Ma'juj, we've spoken about a few of the other signs. One of these signs of the Day of Judgment is the smoke that will appear before the Day of Judgment. And most of the ulama agree that this, in Surah Al-Dukhan here, that's the smoke referred to. But then others, such as Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, they say that during the time Prophet ﷺ was in Makkah, when the Makkans really troubled the Prophet ﷺ, he prayed to Allah against them. And then a famine came. It was a famine. And as a result, famine dragged on for some time. The people, out of hunger, they would see a hazy smoke in the sky because of the effect that the hunger was having. So, according to those ulama, they say that this Dukhan here refers to that, which is already past. But it could be either, it could even be both. Near to the end of Surah Al-Dukhan, Allah graphically explains some of the scenes of the Day of Judgment. Surah Al-Jathiyah recited next, again Makkan Surah. A lot of, the beginning of the Surah, Allah begins by speaking about the revelation of the Quran and the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the skies and the earth. And again, we spoke about this the other day, but in the changing of the night and day, meaning the way they come one after the other, that in itself is a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without interruption, this sequence of events, it never changes. So Allah refers to that as one of His signs. Allah then carries on speaking about the creation of the skies and the earth and the reality of this world, and that this world is temporary. And with that, we complete the recitation of today. May Allah give us all the ability to understand. And tomorrow we have some of the surahs. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله وصلى الله وسلم على النبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Thank you.